My name's Joe. I'm 37, a Marine. 2 weeks ago, I returned from an 8-month tour in Kandahar. I was sitting in a clinical room in Phoenix, watching my wife, Melissa, undergo her ultrasound when Dr. Bradley Richardson's hands began trembling as if he'd seen a specter. "Sir, you need to leave now and contact an attorney," he said. His words struck me like a grenade blast. Melissa lay on the exam table, ultrasound gel still glistening on her stomach, her face a mix of bewilderment and something else. Something she'd been showing a lot since I got back. Like she was constantly trying to read my thoughts. "Is the baby okay?" I asked, my voice steady. Military discipline keeps you composed when the world's crumbling. Dr. Richardson, a 20-year veteran per the diplomas on his wall, wiped perspiration from his brow. He kept glancing at the monitor like it was displaying top-secret data. "The baby's fine," he said, then leaned in and whispered, "but the screen shows a 32-week pregnancy." Silence enveloped the room, broken only by the low hum of the equipment. Melissa was still smiling, acting as if everything was normal, a performance she'd perfected lately. 32 weeks, I repeated. He nodded, his eyes searching for my reaction, perhaps expecting me to erupt. But I sat there, processing the intel like a mission briefing. 32 weeks ago, I was boarding a transport for Afghanistan. 32 weeks ago, I was hugging Melissa goodbye at Sky Harbor Airport. 32 weeks ago, I was sleeping in a desert tent halfway across the globe. "Joe," Melissa's voice was faint. "What's going on? Why's everyone so grim?" I studied her closely, the way she'd been glued to her phone since my return. The way she'd framed the pregnancy as a joyful surprise. The way she'd insisted I attend this appointment. She'd orchestrated this moment. The realization settled in my gut like a lead weight. I met Melissa 6 years ago at a cookout in Tempe. She was a dental hygienist with a laugh that could light up a crowd. I was stationed at Luke Air Force Base, later moving to Camp Pendleton. She said she'd always dreamed of marrying a serviceman, admired the duty, the sacrifice. We wed 3 years later in a modest ceremony at her parents' chapel. Simple, heartfelt. I deployed twice during our marriage, short stints. She coped well, or so I believed. Sent care packages, wrote letters, kept the household running. The kind of spouse other Marines admired. When this Kandahar tour came up 8 months ago, she wept at the airport. Genuine tears, not the crocodile ones I'd seen from others. She clung to me, promising to wait. "I'll stay busy," she said. "Maybe take a class, spruce up the yard." I felt like the luckiest man alive. The first month abroad, we video chatted regularly. She looked drained, stressed from solitude, normal for a military spouse. By month 2, the calls dwindled. She'd enrolled in evening pottery classes, she said, claiming they calmed her. By month 3, I got brief texts, "Busy at work, miss you, all's good." I assumed she was adapting. Military spouses build their own lives to survive. When I returned 2 weeks ago, she seemed off. Jittery. She'd put on weight, which she attributed to stress eating, and wore baggier clothes. Said she'd been under the weather, maybe a stomach virus. Then last week, she dropped the bombshell. She was pregnant. "I found out right after you left," she said, tears of joy streaming. "I wanted to surprise you. I'm about 10 weeks along." 10 weeks. I'd been home nearly 2 weeks by then. She'd already booked the ultrasound, eager for me to see our child. I felt a swell of pride, a sense that this deployment had a purpose, coming home to this gift. Now in the doctor's office, the truth unraveled. The math didn't add up. The timeline was a lie. Everything was a lie. Dr. Richardson stood there waiting for me to snap. Melissa kept asking what was wrong, her voice rising. My face stayed neutral, training kicks in when emotions don't serve. 32 weeks, I said again, mostly to myself. Dr. Richardson nodded, glancing at the door like he wanted to bolt. "Sir, I need to ask, were you present for conception?" Melissa's face, drained of color, not confused, caught. "Joe, I don't understand," she said, but her tone shifted from confusion to panic. "What's 32 weeks mean?" I stood slowly, posture rigid, shoulders back. "It means I was in Afghanistan when this baby was conceived." The room went dead silent. Even the machines seemed to hush. "That's impossible," Melissa whispered, staring at the ceiling, her hands trembling. "I told you I'm 10 weeks pregnant. It happened just before you left." Dr. Richardson cleared his throat. "Ma'am, the fetal measurements are unmistakable. This is a 32-week pregnancy. Conception was roughly 8 months ago." I watched Melissa's carefully constructed story collapse. She'd miscalculated somewhere, maybe lost track of time, or assumed I wouldn't question her. "There's a mistake," she insisted, sitting up, the exam table paper crinkling. "The machine's wrong or something." But I was already piecing together the clues. The neighbor, Trevor Williams, who'd been helping with chores while I was gone. She'd mentioned him casually, fixed the fence, moved furniture. Good neighbor, she'd called him. I thought of her shorter calls, the late-night pottery classes, her insistence on this ultrasound. She wanted me here to sell the lie, to make me believe I was the father, to raise another man's child. The weight in my chest grew colder, but I stayed calm. Dr. Richardson, I said, I need copies of everything, measurements, images, the report. Joe, what are you doing? Melissa's voice cracked. You're scaring me. I met her gaze. 6 years of marriage, 3 years of thinking I knew her. I'm getting the facts, I said, like any mission demands. Her eyes told me she knew the game was up. The drive home was quiet. Melissa babbled, filling the void with flimsy excuses. Maybe they swapped my file, she said, hands twisting in her lap. Medical errors happen. Remember when they sent you someone else's lab results? I kept my eyes on the Phoenix traffic, heavy for a Tuesday. Ordinary people, ordinary lives, while my world imploded beside me. Or maybe the ultrasound machines miscalibrated, she went on. Those are just computers, right? Computers glitch. We pulled into our driveway. The house looked unchanged. Same desert plants, same red-tiled roof, same basketball hoop I'd put up years ago. But it felt alien now. I parked, the engine clicking as it cooled. Joe, say something, Melissa pleaded. You're making me nervous. I looked at her, really looked. The weight gain, the loose clothes, the way she'd avoided certain intimacies since I got back, it all made sense. When are you due? I asked. What, if you're 32 weeks pregnant, when's the baby due? Her mouth opened, closed. She was scrambling for a safe answer. The doctor didn't say exactly, she stammered. 8 weeks, I said. 32 plus 8 is 40. You're due in 8 weeks. We got out. Inside, the house smelled of her vanilla candles, homey but no longer home. It was a battlefield now. Want me to make lunch? Melissa asked, her voice too shrill. How long have you been sleeping with Trevor? I asked. The glass she was holding slipped, shattering on the tile floor. What did you say? I turned to face her. You heard me. Joe, that's crazy. Trevor's just our neighbor. He helped with house stuff while you were gone, that's all. How could you accuse me of that? But her body language betrayed her, backing away, not indignant but guilty. The baby's yours, she insisted. I don't know what the doctor saw, but it's yours. We'll get another opinion. I knelt to pick up the glass shards, sharp and clear like the truth. Melissa, I said, eyes on the floor, I'm trained to gather intel, read situations, spot lies. This isn't Afghanistan, she snapped. This is our marriage, our life. I stood, tossing the glass in the trash. You're right. In Afghanistan, a lie means someone's trying to kill you. Here, they're just trying to ruin your life. She was sobbing now, messy, desperate tears. I love you, she said. Whatever you think happened, I love you. I walked past her to our bedroom. I'm packing. Where are you going? To get a lawyer. Joe, please, we can fix this. The baby needs a father. I paused in the doorway. The baby has a father, it's just not me. I spent the night at a motel near Luke Air Force Base. Clean, basic, like the rooms I'd used during training. Familiar ground. At 7 a.m., I called my lawyer, Stephen Parker, who'd handled our house purchase and wills. Ex-Army, he got the military life. Joe, what's up? I laid out the situation. The ultrasound, the timeline, the impossible math. Damn, brother, he said. That's brutal, I'm sorry. I need my options. First, we get a DNA test to confirm non-paternity. Second, we document everything, ultrasound report, any pregnancy-related communications. Third, we file for divorce. As for the house, Arizona's a community property state, but infidelity can sway asset splits, especially if she used shared funds for the affair. We'll need evidence. I drove back to the house. Melissa's car was gone, likely at work, pretending life was normal. I let myself in. In our office, I found her desk drawer stuffed with papers, bills, statements. I'd never had cause to dig before. What I found gutted me. Credit card charges for restaurants I'd never visited. Hotel bills from Scottsdale. Receipts for men's clothes, size large. I'm a medium. Phone records showing hundreds of calls to Trevor Williams starting a month after I deployed. Worst was a receipt from a Tempe women's clinic, dated 7 months ago, prenatal vitamins, pregnancy test. She'd known almost immediately and spent 7 months crafting a lie to pin the baby on me. I snapped photos of everything. Evidence, intel. A car pulled into the driveway, Melissa home early. I was in the kitchen when she walked in, startled to see me. I thought you were staying elsewhere, she said. Came for some things. She set her purse down, eyeing me warily. Have you been snooping? Should I have? Her expression confirmed my suspicions. Joe, whatever you think you found, there's an explanation. I showed her a photo on my phone, a restaurant receipt, dinner for two, paid with our joint card. Explain this, her face paled. I took my sister out for her birthday. Your sister lives in Tucson. She was visiting. I swiped to the hotel receipt. And this, silence. I swiped again, men's clothing receipt. And this, she sank into a chair, the fight drained from her. How long, I asked. How long have you been with Trevor? She buried her face in her hands. Since about a month after you left, she whispered. It wasn't planned. It just happened. 7 months, I said. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. The baby might be yours, she said. The timing, Melissa, I cut in, voice steady. You know it's not mine. She looked up, mascara streaking her face. What now? I was already heading out. Stephen Parker's office was in Scottsdale, a sleek glass building for serious business. I slid the printed photos across his desk. He reviewed them methodically. Military men value precision. This is thorough, he said. Credit cards, phone logs, medical receipts. How you holding up? Functional. He nodded, understanding. Here's the plan. We file for divorce on adultery grounds. Arizona allows fault-based filings with this evidence. We get a court-ordered DNA test to confirm non-paternity. We petition to recover marital funds spent on the affair. For the house, we can argue for a larger share since she misused joint assets. How long? Depends if she fights. If she's smart, she'll settle. If not, months. I left with paperwork and a court date 3 weeks out. The divorce papers would be served at Melissa's work tomorrow. Clean, professional, no scene. That night, I returned to the house. Melissa was cooking dinner for two, chicken and rice, my favorite. She looked hopeful. I made your favorite, she said. I filed for divorce today. The spoon hit the floor. Joe, please, can't we talk? There's nothing to discuss. The baby's not mine. We'll confirm with a DNA test, but we both know. She turned off the stove. What do you want me to beg? I was lonely, scared. Trevor was there. I messed up. 7 months isn't a mess-up. It's a decision. I love you. No, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't have spent 7 months with our neighbor while I was dodging bullets in Afghanistan. She was crying again, but I was numb. The emotional fire had burned out between the ultrasound and the receipts. I was going to tell you, she said, after the baby was born. You were going to let me raise another man's kid for 18 years, then confess. She didn't respond, an answer in itself. I'm at the motel until this is done, I said. Papers come tomorrow, get a lawyer. Joe, wait, what about us, our marriage? I looked back, 6 years of marriage, 3 years of believing I knew her. There's no us, I said. There hasn't been since you chose Trevor. I left her in the kitchen, dinner cold on the stove. Outside, Trevor was tinkering with his motorcycle. Our eyes locked through my truck's windshield. He looked away first. The courtroom was stark, clinical. Judge Patricia Hernandez presided. Melissa sat across the aisle with her lawyer, a young guy in a sharp suit who seemed out of his depth. Stephen had built an airtight case. Phone logs, credit card statements, hotel receipts, the ultrasound report proving impossible paternity. The DNA test, returned the prior week, showed 0 chance I was the father. Your Honor, Stephen said, the evidence proves the defendant engaged in an affair during the plaintiff's deployment, used marital funds to support it, and tried to deceive the plaintiff into believing he fathered another man's child. Melissa's lawyer argued the affair shouldn't affect asset division, but Judge Hernandez, a 20-year veteran, wasn't swayed. The court finds the defendant's actions a severe violation of the marital bond and misuse of shared resources, she said. The plaintiff is awarded 65% of marital assets, including the home. The defendant must repay all marital funds used in the affair. She is solely responsible for pregnancy and birth costs as the child is not the plaintiff's. Melissa stared at the table, no tears, just resignation. The gavel fell. Done. Outside, she caught up to me. Joe, wait. I stopped but didn't turn. I'm sorry, she said. It doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. I glanced back. Her belly was round under a loose dress. In 2 months, she'd have a baby, no husband, no father stepping up. Sorry doesn't undo 8 months, I said. She nodded and walked away. 3 months later, I signed the final papers at Stephen's office. The house was mine, accounts split as ordered. Melissa had moved to Ohio, back to her parents. Trevor lost his job. Sleeping with a Marine's wife doesn't win friends in Arizona's defense industry. His ex-wife learned of the affair, costing him in their settlement revision. He'd relocated to Tucson, starting over. I kept the house 6 months, then sold it. Too many ghosts in those walls. I bought a smaller place near the base, clean, untainted. Just my truck, my savings, and a hard lesson about trust. My co offered another overseas tour. I declined, wanting to stay stateside, reassess. Some nights I'd sit on my porch thinking of the alternate life, believing the lie, raising another man's child, never knowing. That Joe Smith would have lived a fiction. I chose truth, however ugly. The military taught me clear intel drives better decisions, in combat and in life. Melissa's plan failed because she underestimated simple math and a Marine's devotion to facts over falsehoods. Sometimes the best response to betrayal is refusing to play along with the deception.